Hey everyone! So when you hear scientific paper, your mind probably jumps straight to the big discovery, right? The flashy results. But what if I told you the most important part is, well, it's kind of hidden? Today, we're diving into the materials and methods section. And trust me, it's not some boring recipe book. It's the secret blueprint that holds all of science together. You've seen those headlines, right? Scientists find cure for whatever. It's exciting stuff. But let's be real. In today's world, how do we know it's legit? How can we, or more importantly, other scientists, be absolutely sure it's not just hype? Well, the answer is right there, hiding in plain sight. It's in what we're calling the experiment's blueprint. And that blueprint is the materials and methods section. This is the part where scientists have to lay all their cards on the table. No secrets. They show you exactly what they did every single step of the way. So what is this section really? The whole point is to give so much detail that another scientist on the other side of the planet could do the exact same experiment, the entire thing. And this isn't just, a nice to have. It's a fundamental rule of science called reproducibility. Bottom line, if no one can repeat your work, it can't be trusted. Okay, so how do you actually write a good one? Well, the first thing to get right is the logic, the organization. It's not just about listing what you did, it's about the order you listed in. We'll call this the logic of doing. Here's a super simple but really powerful rule. The order of your methods has to match the order of your results. See here? If the first result you talk about is batch mode production, then the very first method you explain has to be how you did the batch mode production. It just makes sense, right? It connects the how directly to the what, creating this easy-to-follow path for the reader. And this logic goes all the way down to the sentence level. I mean, literally, the things you write have to be in the same order they actually happened in the lab. Just look at this. The incorrect one is, well, it's a mess. Analyzed for glucose after being transferred and stored. Wait, what? It's confusing. But the correct version? It's just a story. We transferred it, we stored it, and then we analyzed it. Simple. Logical. That's a good blueprint. All right. Next up, writing with precision. Think about it. A real blueprint can't be fuzzy, right? You can't have sort of a 2x4 on there. Every single word has to be exact because in science, there is absolutely no room for guessing. Science is all about building on what came before, so you're not always inventing a new method from scratch. So how do you handle that? Well, there's a system, and it's pretty smart. If your method is brand new, yeah, you gotta explain everything. But if you used a method that's already published, you just cite the paper. And if it's something super common that everyone knows, a citation is all you need. It's so efficient. It keeps papers from becoming these massive, repetitive documents and makes sure people get credit for their work. Okay, this next one is a little nerdy, but it's so important for precision: verb tense. It seems small, but it's a huge signal. If you actually did something in a lab, you use the past tense. A fermentation was conducted. It happened, it's done. But if you're describing a simulation or a model, something that exists on paper or in a computer, you use the present tense. The sugarcane mill is a standalone plant. Why? Because the model, conceptually, exists right now. It's a tiny little detail that tells you everything about the kind of work being done. Precision isn't just about using the right words, it's also about using fewer words, being concise. This isn't creative writing, it's about getting straight to the point. And there's this cool writer's trick to make things tighter called a non-finite clause. Now that sounds super technical, I know, but the idea behind it is actually really simple. Let's just look at an example. The wordy version says, after the bagasse was dried, it was packed. See all those extra words? Now look at the concise version. After being open-air dried, the bagasse was packed. Boom. We combine the ideas, cut out the fluff, same information, just cleaner, more professional. And this isn't just about saving a word or two. In this one example, that little change cut the word count by 10%. Yeah, 10%, from 30 words down to 27. Now imagine doing that over and over again through a whole paper. It all adds up. The entire thing just becomes so much sharper. So we've got our rules: be logical, be precise, but what does this look like in the real world? This is the fun part. Let's see how these rules can take a rough first draft and turn it into something, well, brilliant. We're going to look at a real-life example from a master's student. They were working on a study about making jet fuel from sugarcane. So let's check out their first draft. This is the before picture, the rough sketch. Okay, here's a snippet from that draft. Even right off the bat, you can probably see a few problems. The phrasing consists on, That's just a little grammar hiccup. And sugar's fermentation is okay, but it's super vague. It gives you the general gist, but it is not a precise blueprint that someone else could follow. But now, after putting in the work, applying all those rules we talked about, here is the final published version, the after picture. And wow, the difference is, well, you'll see. Just listen to that. So much clearer, right? The goal is stated right up front, to assess the economic viability. And the language is so much more precise. They're not just making jet fuel, it's being catalytically converted. Every single word has a purpose. It's not just description anymore, it's the actual framework for the whole study. So let's break down why it's so much better. For one, the organization is way clearer. It lays out 4 scenarios right from the get-go. It also adds tons of specific details that were missing, like the exact crushing capacity of the mill. The whole thing just flows better. Big picture first, then the details. And of course, the language is just pro. It went from a messy sketch to a blueprint you can actually use. But okay, what happens when you have too much detail? I'm talking pages of equations, massive spreadsheets of data, or code. Stuff that would just totally clutter up the main paper. Well, that's what supplementary material is for. Yeah, think of it like an appendix for the blueprint. It's where you put all the nitty-gritty stuff that's absolutely essential for someone to repeat your work, but would make the main paper impossible to read. Things like the raw data sets. I mean, that's huge. It lets other scientists take your data and check your work from scratch. It's really the ultimate form of being transparent. So, this all brings us to the big idea, the main takeaway from all of this. All these little rules, the logical order, the precise words, all those extra details, it's not just about being a good writer. It's about something much, much bigger. Because at the end of the day, the blueprint isn't really just about letting someone else do the same experiment. It's about building trust. When a scientist is this clear, this honest, this detailed about what they did, they're building a foundation of trust. Trust in their results, and really, trust in science itself. And that's what I want to leave you with. A good blueprint lets you rebuild the same thing, sure. But a great blueprint lets other people understand your work so well that they can improve on it and build something new on top of it. That's how science moves forward, one clear blueprint at a time. So the real question is, if the blueprint is clear, what can we all build next?